Did the Soviet elite create a secret network of underground tunnels and bunkers beneath Moscow, known as the Metro 2? This hidden world was off limits to the general public, but this wasn't the only privilege the Soviets enjoyed. In today's video, we'll uncover the uncommon facts about the Soviets' elite privileges and how they impacted the regime. Before we continue, please hit the like button and subscribe for more history content like this. Stick around as we unravel the secrets of the Soviet Union's secret privileges. Despite the communist ideology advocating for equality and social justice, the Soviet Union was plagued with widespread inequality and discrimination. The marginalized and underrepresented groups within Soviet society bore the brunt of this disparity, with socioeconomic inequality deeply entrenched in the day-to-day lives of many citizens. This was largely due to the privileged status granted to certain social groups loyal to the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. This helped in reinforcing a systemic divide between those with power and privilege and those without. The Communist Party of the Soviet Union, or CPSU, was the sole governing party of the Soviet Union from its founding in the 1920s until its dissolution in 1991. It was a Marxist-Leninist party that professed a commitment to building a socialist and eventually communist society. But its policies and practices often deviated from these ideals, leading to inequality, discrimination, and authoritarianism. In making a stand in government, the Union created an official list of high-level positions in the Soviet Union that were controlled by the Communist Party called the nomenklatura. The nomenklatura was a key part of the Soviet system and was used to ensure that party loyalty was rewarded with privileges and perks. The list was a carefully curated selection of positions at various levels of government, from local party committees to the Central Committee of the Communist Party. These positions were filled by party members who were deemed loyal and competent. To be included in the nomenklatura, one had to be a member of the Communist Party and demonstrate loyalty and ideological orthodoxy. Once appointed to a nomenklatura position, individuals enjoyed significant power and privileges. To start with, those privileged groups in Soviet society enjoyed higher income levels than the average citizen. Although their basic wages were only slightly higher than those of regular workers, their true financial advantage came from additional benefits and bonuses, including the 13th salary or health pay, which they would receive during their annual vacation. There was also the case of different pension schemes in the Soviet Union. The personal pension system had 3 levels: all-union, republican, and local, with the all-union pensions providing the highest payment. Mervyn Matthews, an expert on Soviet privileges, revealed that in 1956, personal pensioners of all-union importance received 2,000 rubles, almost 3 times more than the average wage of 720 rubles. Income tax exemptions were another perk enjoyed by the privileged in the Soviet Union. Heroes of the Soviet Union and other recipients of state decorations didn't have to pay income tax. This created a system of tax-free rewards for party loyalty. But that's not all. Creative intellectuals and upper party members got free holiday vouchers to exclusive resorts, reimbursed travel, and access to special shops called berezovka, or birch stores. These stores were the ultimate shopping destination for the Kremlyovkas. Kremlyovkas were special food parcels not available to regular citizens. They included high-quality imported products like caviar, champagne, and imported cigarettes. If you were part of the Soviet elite, it was like having a VIP pass to the good life. Interestingly, the Soviet elite had an intriguing relationship with Pepsi, which served as yet another privilege for the nomenklatura. In 1959, Pepsi became the first American product to be sold in the USSR. It was initially marketed as a luxury item, and Soviet officials often received exclusive access to Pepsi products, using them as a status symbol. This eventually led to the Pepsi for vodka deal in 1972, where Pepsi sold its products to the Soviet Union in exchange for Stolichnaya vodka, commonly referred to as Stoli, and it was in high demand in the West. The upper echelons even had access to free public transport as a perk of their status. Interestingly, that was not all they enjoyed, as they were given access to a secret transportation system, which was mentioned earlier, the Metro 2. The Metro 2, also known as the Special Purpose Metro Line, was an exclusive system for the Soviet elite. It was used for covert transportation and as a bunker during emergencies. The Metro 2 was largely kept under wraps by the Soviet authorities, but rumors of its existence began to circulate in the 1980s and 90s. The rumors got to a British journalist, David Gwinnett, who was working for the British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC, in Moscow. He began investigations that yielded fruits when a Russian civil servant confirmed its existence with proof. In 1992, Gwinnett wrote an article for the BBC describing his investigation of Metro 2, which involved exploring the hidden system with two former residents of Moscow. The Soviet elite's privileges had a ripple effect on society and economy. It created a class divide, stifled innovation, and led to widespread corruption. Unbeknownst to the people they governed, the Soviet Union had a secret, shadowy economy worth billions. The Soviet Union had a massive underground economy where goods and services were traded outside of official channels. These secret activities included everything from trading illegal goods to bribery and corruption. Estimates put the size of the shadow economy at up to 50% of the official economy. To bribe, the elite used black cash, or untraceable money, to bribe officials and secure favors. This money was often used to buy luxury goods and services that weren't available to ordinary citizens. The regime's corruption was so widespread that it had its own slang term, blat. The term blat was slang for the practice of using personal connections and favors to get things done. It was so widespread that it became a part of everyday life in the Soviet Union. For example, people would use blat to get a good job, get their children into prestigious schools, or avoid punishment for breaking the law. There were several high-ranking Soviet officials known for engaging in blat. A good example is Yuri Andropov, who was the chairman of the KGB from 1967 to 1982, and later became the general secretary of the Communist Party in 1982, until he died in 1984. Yuri Andropov was a powerful figure in the Soviet Union, known for his ruthless efficiency and unwavering loyalty to the Communist Party. As the head of the KGB, he was instrumental in maintaining the party's control over the country and suppressing any opposition. Andropov's corruption became particularly apparent during his time as General Secretary, when he used his position to promote loyalists and suppress rivals within the party. He also allegedly used his influence to benefit himself and his family, accumulating wealth and privileges that were unavailable to the average Soviet citizen. This widespread corruption and nepotism stunted innovation and led to social and economic stagnation for the masses. The corrupt system of the Soviet Union put its chokehold on innovation, strangling progress in multiple areas: technology, economy, healthcare, and education. Resources were misallocated, priorities skewed towards personal gain, and the masses suffered. As the elite dined on caviar and champagne, the masses struggled in the grip of widespread poverty and economic stagnation. For the common man, consumer goods were scarce and of low quality, as innovation and competition were smothered by the system of privilege. Technological advancements, creativity, and free expression were stifled, with nonconformist artists and writers facing harsh punishment. Artists and writers who dared to challenge the status quo faced persecution, exile, or even imprisonment. Thankfully, we don't live in a world where the Soviet Union still exists. But what if it hadn't collapsed? Imagine a world where the Soviet Union continued to cast its shadow over Europe, keeping the Iron Curtain closed and the Cold War alive. International relations would have been profoundly impacted. The Berlin Wall would still divide East and West Berlin, and the Soviet influence would have spread across the globe, potentially resulting in more proxy wars and conflicts. Freedom of expression would have been severely curtailed, and opportunities for growth and technological advancements would have been few and far between. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was a major shift in the course of history for the countries. The once mighty Soviet giant fractured into 15 independent nations, each embarking on their journeys. The collapse of the Soviet Union signaled the transition from a bipolar world order to a unipolar one, with the United States reigning supreme. The United States became the sole superpower, and new relationships and agreements were formed between countries. Economies changed to fit the global market, and democratization efforts took root, with varying degrees of success. The threat of nuclear war decreased, but new global issues emerged with rising powers like China. Overall, the collapse of the Soviet Union was a pivotal moment that altered the course of the political, economic, and social landscape in profound ways. Its legacy continues to be felt today, with both positive and negative impacts on the global community. As we reflect on the Soviet Union's legacy, we're reminded that the concentration of power and privilege can have far-reaching consequences. And now the floor is open for discussion. We want to hear your thoughts and reflections on the collapse of the Soviet Union and its lasting impact on the world. Share your ideas in the comments section, and let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more insightful content, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.